DPW Building Committee meeting. April 14th, 5:03 p.m. We have the meeting minutes.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I
I abstain. I wasn't here. So. Okay.
you loaded this. I
I
can't.
didn't have a full agenda, but I'm assuming
I'm in the wrong phone.
construction status.
That's the top of the agenda.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Just to go over the activities that happened over the month of March. We had a pretty good month of work. If you come by the building, you'll see it's looking nice with all the garage doors on and everything, and some of the detailing work that was ongoing has gotten wrapped up. Just on the inside, they've kind of moving along with finished work in the admin area. They have the acoustical ceiling grid in. They have some of the ceiling tiles in where you have sprinkler heads. The walls are primed and painted. The ceilings are, the floors are still bare concrete. And so we'll probably see some flooring within the next month in there, and also in the areas where
One's
they
the
have
minutes, one's the
floors.
agenda.
There's been a lot of, obviously the building has a lot of MEP, FP infrastructure. The mechanical contractor has been working on getting his VRF system tied in, as well as the associated ductwork. They've also installed the heating units in the ceilings in the maintenance and storage garage bays. Most of the piping and reels are complete for the fluid reels, and they also have the vehicle exhaust piping done, as well as the exhaust for the welding area. Looking forward, we should see permanent power towards the end of this month or the beginning of next month. In terms of where they're at with the rest of the infrastructure for the electrical,
Trying to figure out whether we have
some of the panel work is wired.
Depends
They're
on how
currently
arcade
working on wiring the generator,
This is
some of the switch gear, and this ongoing finishing wiring the rest of the panels throughout the building.
And Nancy makes a very good point on the issues that are raised in this.
Just in terms of who we've seen on site in the last month for consultants,
I hope
OCI is
that
on
we're
site
enough to amend the agenda
for some
executive
sidewalks that got poured, did some concrete sampling,
Right.
floors,
Well, we can talk about some.
samples. We also had the first inspection by the commissioning agent, total building system commissioning. Paul Sekas is the gentleman's name. He's been out. He provided a report that we gave to Tony. It's also, we worked with Greg to get a commissioning tab on bid docs. So we'll be putting all the commissioning reports on bid docs. And so far it's been positive. They found some items that they put on the report that Tony sent out to his subs. It's kind of like a punch list almost, or ongoing work.
Preventative maintenance too.
Yeah, and just tracking progress. We still have to do a formal kickoff meeting with them and some of the subcontractors, which will be next week. Don't think we had any other consultants on site in the last month other than HKA, and nothing from Andrea, environmental. We've updated the contractors on site over the last month. These are all from here, a lot of the same faces, some new people. In terms of administrative items, we're up to 281 submittals. None of those are pending action. There's 57 of them that require submission for the record, and we have 103 RFIs total that have been submitted, and 2 are pending action. We've been continuing our weekly job meetings, and just working on old and new business. Also, just a note that the town provided HK with the DPW seal and vector format, which was going to be used for the front of the building. On upcoming work for this month and into the beginning of next month, we're expecting finished flooring, the epoxy flooring where designated, and carpet maybe towards the tail end of that, or into early May. We'll expect to see some of the above ceiling inspections and sign-offs in the admin wing. After that, we're expecting to see the ceiling tiles get flooded out throughout that area. We have some additional finished painting that will be ongoing over the next month. Probably at the end of the month, we'll see the installation of the equipment lift, or the vehicle lift, I should say. In terms of mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection work, American Electrical has started, and they'll be continuing to run their data wiring. They still have power and lighting feeds in the vehicle bays. All the conduits are in, and a lot of the equipment has rips to junction boxes, but the main feeds aren't in yet, so they still have some wiring to do. They're also, like I said, working on the generator and getting all the panels wired and anticipating for permanent power. Enterprise Mechanical, they're finalizing piping and valves, pressure gauges, and miscellaneous within the mechanical equipment room up in mezzanine. They're getting ready to fill their system with glycol, and then doing some testing in the boiler system. They also have some continuation of gas and hot water piping as well, and throughout the vehicle's garage phase. Their subcontractor, Apex Sheet Metal, they're going to be completing the installation of the VRF system, just miscellaneous ductwork and insulating to finish up. They also have some finishing their low voltage for the temperature control systems as well. And then the sprinkler contractor, they are pretty much substantially complete. They've already tested their system with air, and they will be filling that system shortly and just completing kind of a small remaining item / punch list that's ongoing. Site work, maybe seeing some seating and or retention pond areas. Silktown Roofing, they got like another few days of work up there. Also a small amount of metal panel trim work. And then we should see the mason on site. He's coming in, a couple weeks or a week?
In a month. I was told the 28th, but when I looked at the schedule, it would likely be like the 2nd or 3rd.
So this is that infill that they need to do with the tall window at the front elevation.
Below
It was non-conforming item, so they'll tooth in the brick and finish all that work in there. So that's pretty much it over the next month. I'm sure it'll be busy, and we are still, the schedule hasn't changed since the last update. The recent one was on 4/7 that we got. The way they have it, kind of the key dates, actually I put them in here. Sorry for the blurriness, but they're expecting that they'll try to get a temp C of O around June 11th. Right after that, around the same time, they're showing that they'll start doing the utility disconnects and abatement and other work in the existing vehicle garage out front, which puts them at a substantial completion date for the full project on July 17th, and then they have a final completion date of 7/31 according to their schedule.
Scott, question from Bruce.
Yep. I just had a question on the date, the 6/11 date. So at our Wednesday meeting, it was mentioned that they wanted to start doing the abatements in the front garage earlier, and they were pushing up the date for us to get out of there.
In this date,
Yeah, much earlier.
Yeah.
Like originally, we were planning on being out of that front garage by. Well, it was supposed to be June 1st, but I was working on like the second to third week in May just to give myself a little bit of a buffer to make sure we had everything out of there that we wanted out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But they were bumping it up to like, hey, can you get everything out of there now? And it seems like
I think
we can't get into that until 6/11 out back, like even put things in there. Never mind,
Yeah.
have some place for our guys to go. So them pushing that date up is,
I recognize that we recognize that you need time to move out of that area, and we don't, there's at least, I think in the contract, they say that they give you like a month or something, and I think we could probably get you out of there sooner, within a couple weeks maybe, a week, if everything works out, if we give you some help and stuff like that.
About the over the weekend move out? Have you thought about that at all? We talked about that on Wednesday too. Greg recommended that it would be more feasible to go with like a.
yeah, I mean,
come out of the
that's
building,
kind of not what I'm talking about. Like, we can get out of there,
Yeah.
but like, where do we go? And if we can't get into the
Sooner
building
they get in.
technically until the 11th of June, then why are we trying to get out of it? Like,
I think this is
Right.
like
Weeks from
worst
now.
case scenario. I think he's trying to improve the schedule overall. So whenever he's ready for us, he needs to tell us when he's going to be ready. And I mean, based on, getting permanent power at the end of this month and doing commissioning and everything else, I still think they have at least a good month of work in there to get the finishes to where they need to be and all the life safety stuff done,
And let's
So-
forget, we need a temporary CO in order for you guys to work in that building.
yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like,
Yeah,
like I'm not even concerned about running the maintenance, like repairing trucks in that new garage until like we're ready to really fully move in.
Yep.
We're operating at the armory. There's no rush to get out of the armory, so I wouldn't even move the maintenance. But I'm just talking about, okay, we're gonna move anything that we have in that old garage that needs to go into the new garage, whether it's just for storage, and we'll get, I want to buy a storage container to help with that, and I have the invoice. But where do we put the men? So,
Right.
like, there's nowhere to. We can move all the stuff out of that front building, but then
Where do you put
we
it?
have 17, 18 guys that every morning are there from 6:30 to 7 before work. They need a bathroom, they need someplace to sit, and then they come back at lunch and they need a bathroom, they need someplace to sit. And the armory,
Someplace to put it.
I don't know.
Or sit.
No, I think Bruce, until it's ready to be occupied, that's when we move out.
Right.
And I think at June, if this schedule holds true, by June 1st, they'll be starting their inspections, finals with all the plumbing, electric. It's going to take them a couple weeks just to go through that process. Once they're, I'll say, done. So we're gonna know. You'll have a couple weeks, I would guess, at least, of just inspections.
I would say the electrical is the thing that's going to drive the bus at this point.
Yeah.
They're not anywhere near ready for a temporary certificate of occupancy. So
Right.
I think the June 11th date is actually probably feasible, but not before. Yeah. So I mean, based on last Wednesday's meeting, we were thinking, well, we got to get out of there in a couple of weeks. That's Tony.
No.
No.
Yeah, that was, and that, was, Yeah.
You're right on board with a June 1st. You'll know by then if they've started inspections, then, they have a shot of hitting June 11th. If they're still building stuff and electricians are still doing stuff, then
He needs what we need Paige to do is build us a mini schedule to show what's realistic and give us time to move and stuff like that, and then he can provide it to us, and we can see if it works and give them comments and go back and forth. But
And ask him if he can have it ready for Wednesday.
yeah, well, we've already asked him for that, but we'll ask him again, and I'll see if he can get us something for this week.
I mean, that-
Certainly, if he's pushing the envelope on that a bit, so.
After that Wednesday meeting, Dave got his guys all going. They moved some vehicles out of that front bay. They got a bunch of stuff, all kinds of parts that he has and valves and all kinds of things like that. And he put them all on pallets in where those trucks used to be. And my guys are cleaning out things that, frankly, we're scrapping some stuff, just like why give it to them, and just getting ready to go. But it seemed like there was all of a sudden a big rush. But when we have to have a temporary occupancy before they can even start any kind of abatement, because we can't be in there, right? When they do that.
Right.
Yeah, we need the occupancy for the new building.
Yeah.
You can't be working in there without an
Right.
occupancy permit.
Right.
And then they can't, they still need a 10-day notification before they start abatement and stuff like that, and have to have a schedule from their abatement contractor and stuff. So
It's not as much as a
there hasn't
push
been
as Tony made
a
it sound
full
like last
plan
Wednesday.
put together. Obviously, it's been very crude and just, hey, what do you think about getting you out of there sooner, and kind of just throwing some, not giving us a plan really. So we'll ask them again to put together a mini schedule and revise this whole schedule here, to try to work that in, showing a temp C of O. I don't really see an issue with they don't have a ton of work to do in the vehicle storage area. I mean, I would think
That's
just
more-
even the amount of electric that they have to finish up. I mean, just for the
But you need all your life
guys in
safety.
their crew, they should be able to get it done in a week or something.
Right, but you need all your life safety. So the fire alarm system has to be
Right.
complete. The fire standpipe has to be complete.
Yep.
So if there's, unless they're gonna, doesn't make sense to, even for them to do any type of temps and work,
Yeah,
for
but I think
couple
like
weeks.
a month, 3 to 4 weeks out, they should be pretty close with that stuff. If they
Well, again, looking,
it,
to Bruce's June,
yeah.
June 1st.
Right. So
I don't think you're moving anything much before then, if not later.
and again, being able to put the trucks in the vehicle area, that's fine. But we can also keep the whole fleet outside for a little while longer. And it's really about where do we go, where do the men go? And the police department did offer up their training room for them to go back, start out in the morning and go to lunch, and it just would be logistics of that would be a little way because they park their personal vehicles there, and then the rest of all the trucks are at the armory or whatever.
We don't need to do that. I think when the new building's ready and they have a temp TCO, then we move over.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, if the override fails in Whitman too, there'll be less people that have to worry about where they go.
Let's not go there.
Thanks.
So
If
Yeah. If when.
any other discussion on the schedule?
I think you're right. I think Tony needs to get really some more substantial things to the committee so we can coordinate with Bruce. You shouldn't be, scrambling to get out of there when there's no way he's going to get in the building before June.
he's looking at tearing that building and gaining some time there.
He's looking to
A
do
moment
it
of
right.
silence when it comes down. I have a question. A couple of months ago, we were discussing saying that during the winter season, the project was behind schedule. Apparently, it's caught up.
I mean, I think they're making good progress. They haven't showed anything in terms of a recovery schedule.
They're still behind,
Yeah.
but they're still targeting the July
17th.
17th completion date,
Yeah.
the extended date.
It feels like they're using different means and methods to get caught up on what they can.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they don't finish on time,
Well, I think they're working to recapture like I said, per means of methods to try to recapture some of that time, but if they don't finish on time, then
Well, that's why PCO
Yeah.
16 hours.
1603 is a ping pong ball going
Yeah.
back and forth.
Because
And-
May is really the finish date. They are definitely behind there.
Yeah.
They're not gonna make the finish date in May.
I'm curious about the roofing on the overhang. It seems like to be like one or two guys there, and it looks like rubber roofing is hanging over like what I would call the fascia of that, and it just seems like half finished. But are they waiting on something else to finish that section, or
I
just
think they're waiting on it.
it's all done now. They finished it up on Friday.
No, he's talking about what we looked at earlier, just the overhangs, like
Just
the front entrance
yeah?
and the side door.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, yeah, that's correct. There's going to be panels and stuff there before the roofers come back. Where that metal gauge, 12 gauge framing is,
Right.
there's going to be college structures coming
It's
back.
not on their critical path right now, so they're just like they're not focused.
And
on it.
that
But you're
that
right.
finished look, there's
If
going to
you-
be
the buildings.
those panels.
Correct. With a framing detail and
About the window fixed.
and a gutter. So I was up there on Friday or Thursday of last week when Greg came out, and they left
Brick head in?
like 16 or I think I counted like 16 witches
Huh?
hats. They have to come back and finish.
The only people
And then I got on to each one of those platforms.
The people that know what's wrong.
Yeah.
That are on my daily raking, but
It looks like they have a whole bunch of those full size panels left over too.
there's so much extra.
Yeah.
But as far as those like entryway canopies go, where that steel exposed steel framing is, all that's
Yeah.
going to be wrapped up.
Yeah, so
They did make a lot of headway up top. I mean, they closed in when I was up there last week. They had 2 guys on the mez roof, 2 guys on the other roof, working from different directions in towards one another, doing witches hats. And,
It's great if they're on the same sideline.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Money.
Okay. Make a motion to authorize pay requisition 13 for $1,355,070.
let me pull up the revised one just so everyone can see it because
That's the right number?
they have the wrong one there.
The sheet that you guys.
Yeah, the sheet I gave you.
Yes, I'm giving you the number to correct it.
Yep.
So it's
I figured.
right here.
Oh, what was it again then, Frank? The number is correct?
1,000,355,70.
Nope.
That's not it?
This one here?
No, the
Up top.
page
Page.
payment.
Oh, sorry.
The page payment.
Yeah,
One zero-
Page payment didn't change.
Yeah, no, you do them one at a
It was the CMS payment.
Yep.
Yeah. So you guys went to 20.
I lost it. What was it again?
1
Yeah.
On this.
000
It's this one here. That didn't change.
355,70.
Okay.
These are the numbers that changed.
Oh, okay.
So those are on this handout.
But that is.
Right.
second one's wrong.
The second ones are wrong for CMS. So 20.
And is this number less to get you to the end of the project without raising your total contract?
I don't know. I have to talk to Neil about that. They decided to adjust the. I put the 45 in because
Well,
we're
remember,
at,
45 was only because you were trying to
I know.
use up the money in a compressed time schedule. Now, this is more realistic to get to the
Well,
end.
just to give you, so we had 13 months in the original contract. This is kind of like 13 months right now because we started some work in March, but it was like a half a month. There wasn't a lot going on.
Sorry.
When did you
Right.
start? You started like,
Not until the end of May.
The first 2 months were only 18,000.
what did we have?
Wait, March.
March and April.
Well,
we
yeah.
had-
I mean,
they
there
doing
were a
some-
couple of weeks. I
You were
think.
just
Yeah,
kind
they
of
were
spinning the
doing
wheel.
some
You,
minor stuff.
yeah, I think you kind of swung by, and then
Yeah,
we had the other guy for what, a couple of weeks.
yeah. So
We scared him away.
probably, if you're saying in May was like when you really got kicked off.
Yeah,
It was
because I.
April, but it's.
Well, I think they started in April. Remember, I forget the other
I had
guy's
come
name.
down here to meet you, and
That was here for a
before
few
the
weeks.
trailer was all set up. I got a computer, and I was working at where Bruce's office is in that building for I think like 3 days. I was there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the first 2 weeks, and then
This is the schedule of billings that we've had. So we had done our, if you break it down evenly, it's like 34,500 a month. So we did the 17.5 for through August,
Right.
and then we adjusted to the 45. So,
So where are we at total?
so we're at, we still have 67.5 left with the 20,000.
Does that include commissioning? I mean,
April 17th.
Commissioning
I mean,
is separate. The only, we haven't, we'll have to do like a budget, we'll have to do a modification, I guess, to the contract because you're paying us as the reimbursable, so we didn't talk about that yet, but
It was April 17th.
So you were estimating 3 more months at 20 grand a month roughly? Looks like you had about
roughly, yeah,
67,000
and then we have like roughly 2 months in there for
close out.
closeout.
So 3 more months of construction, May, June, July. And then a couple months of close or whatever. I don't know what we have for close up.
Yeah, well, that makes more sense. This is why I was asking for 2 months ago. Remember we said, if we're looking for an extension of time from the general contractor, we need to get an idea of what the cost liability is going to be for our OPM and architect. So we still don't have that PCO Frank just mentioned signed yet, but we really need to know what our liability is to get to the end. So I think this kind of gives us a little, it gives
Right.
me a little,
I told Neil his additional compensation is working for such a great group of people.
yeah.
Honestly, I mean, the way it's looking with the schedule, I think they can finish sooner than they're saying. I mean, the recent letter that we have, they're end of July or final completion end of August.
Yeah, they're mentioning August now.
Yeah, August 30th, but it's
Well, I talked to him about that. That's including the wrap-up time.
yeah. And this
So it really is July.
I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, well, based on the schedule you just had, if
What was it?
they're going to start taking down the old building in June, mid-June, should be no problem in a month to take that building down and do a little bit of site work.
Right.
Yeah. And then we have, so I guess just in terms of if you're paying us as a reimbursable for the commissioning agent, we'll have to, I track it in the budget in a separate line item, but we'll just have to update our purchase order or whatever for our contract to include the commissioning and
Yeah, is there any
also,
reason why we didn't just carry them separately as a sub? Was it easier for you working that way?
I don't know, we've done it both ways. We can do it either way. It's
I have
just
no-
we're-
I don't care as long as we can
Try to
try.
pay twice.
Well, that won't
Well,
happen.
yeah, because the way we do it with like ADS, you're paying them direct,
Right.
so we can do it that way. Probably easier.
Well, I think it's cleaner because we see what's being paid and who it's being paid to.
I'll make a motion to approve payment of $1,047.
That's the total there, Rick, on the screen. The document I had was incorrect.
Oh, okay, sorry, $1,024,025.30.
Including the previous vote taken to pay page.
Yes.
Right, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
With those payments, the total budget is at 73.2% expended. All right.
Has those credit change orders been applied? In your
No.
chart here? No.
That'll be in change, there's a draft change order 6
Okay.
on bid docs that we don't have access to yet to critique it. It's in draft form as of this morning. So we have no change orders to present. There was no safety issues over the last month. We did have, as I mentioned earlier, we had 2 inspections from GCI, and nothing to report on compliance observations on the SWIP. Community issues, none. We're just still tracking the potential issues, PCO 16R3, and also PCO 17R2 for the security system modifications. I don't know if we want to go into discussions on either one of those.
Well, we did have some movement early this morning on PCO 1603, and then there was a retrenchment. I made a modification that Tony was really concerned about after discussion with council, sent it to him. He says, no, I want my original draft, and sent that one out. I don't know where we are now. He's asking us to make changes that could potentially make us liable for costs that would not be allocatable in the contract. I don't know if it's to, leave the door open for further charges that may have been incurred as a result of the late start, or what the thought process is. But as of yesterday afternoon, discussion was, well then, let's just forget it, we'll leave it where it is, and we'll battle at the end of the contract. And I said, look, neither one of us want to do that.
No.
Tell me what you're concerned about. And he did. I did send a change. He came back with the first draft. So I did ask council to give us an opinion of both the exposure that we may have in this change order and what we may be able to defend based on our contract language. So we're still on two sides of the lake.
Right. So it doesn't seem to me then that this PCO is the place to do that negotiation. It really doesn't.
Well, the real negotiation here is that there's a limit on how much he's looking for, and there's a fixed date. There's an adjusted ending date.
Right.
Both of those are contained in that PCO. Without that, those things are still wide open.
Right. So if we just say no to PCO 16R3, we go back to the substantial completion in May. We don't give them any extension of time. We certainly don't give them any winter conditions. Right? I thought winter conditions were off the table. I still see it here on this summary.
It's just the way they worded it when they put it together, so I'm leaving it in, but
So personally, I would ask town council to say, if this isn't going to get resolved, if it's certainly not going to get resolved before May, that's substantial completion. That's when the liquidated damages start. Right? To me, the whole idea of negotiating PCO 16 was to make some kind of an agreement, so put some financial benefit to the general contractor and give him an extension of time for starting late. I think we've done all of that. We've bent over backwards to give him what they need to do this job. Now it's a matter of greed that's really driving the bus.
Yeah.
It used to be a quality product that we were looking for.
Let's not lose sight of the fact that
We have some exposure, I understand.
we have significant exposure for the delayed start.
Right.
On our part.
Right.
And he has some on his part. There were times when things should have been happening there when nothing was happening. And we're trying to get that balance point. And I just figured I'd let him cool off another day and
Hit it again.
see what he has to say.
All right, well, I guess when does it stop? When does this negotiation stop, though?
Well, it doesn't matter. He has a project he has to keep working on, whether or not we resolved
Right.
the ending date.
But with no PCO 16, we have a substantial completion in May.
Correct.
If you
Yeah, the
can't-
contract has
can't
not been
get to the
extended.
finish line with this PCO,
Right.
then that's what we're dealing with. And he's not going to make it.
Right. That in itself should
Motivate.
sway him, motivate
Yeah.
to settle. And it sounded like you were there, Frank, and
I don't know who he's listening to.
something changed.
I don't know who he's listening to. I think it's his partner, actually.
Who, Rosado?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, typically most general contractors are looking to supplement the contract with some change orders, right? They've been pretty much
Money in their pocket.
striking out here in Whitman on this project for padding their pockets with extras and PCOs, change orders, right? So, to me, this is, I mean, is he looking to go back to 107 instead of 55? Remember when that was on the table?
I do.
It's
Like I said, give
just
him a
surprised.
date. And at this point, like you said, I think if this is legal language, then put the two attorneys in a room. They'll
Well,
figure
that's
it
what
out.
I tried to do, and I spent a week asking him to give me his attorney contact so I could have Nancy
Yeah.
reach out. I mean, we've done that in the past, and it's worked very well. But for some reason, he doesn't seem amenable to that.
Does-
I mean, one way or the other, they're going to talk to one another.
Right, either by
Maybe
force,
an
or
adversarial
by force.
relationship.
To Rick's point, that his completion still may.
Yep,
So yeah,
Does it make sense?
you can call him and tell him that.
Yeah. Well, does it make sense for the, because I don't think we did last month, do we vote for not to exceed on this? So that it's approved, because we can't technically approve it without some kind of a meeting because of the value.
Well, he's not throwing money out there now, Frank, is he? Just all language, right?
All right.
right.
There's no money
The
involved.
money
money
we
is
agreed
set.
to, it's the language that was
Right.
at issue. And I suspect the language is at issue because it closes some doors he doesn't necessarily want to close.
Right.
I mean, I guess I'll throw out the committee. We could, vote on a value pending agreement of.
And I think
You know what I
that
mean?
I think that would have some impact, so, where am I? Hang on a second.
You
Get back to my first page here.
we could approve the value to Rick's point. And
Let's make a motion to approve the value contained in 16R3 and subject to agreeable language. I mean, that puts an anchor on it.
okay, we have a motion. Is it second? Anyone want to second that?
What specifically are you saying?
I'm saying, as a committee, we can vote. I'm just looking for the,
You have to go right there on the screen. 55.
I have my glasses on.
Is that the correct number in your summary there,
50,
Scott?
55.
Yes. I'm looking for a
What's a different
motion
number?
to authorize PCO 16R3 for a payment of $55,577.04, subject to agreeable language with respect to the extended date of the contract and the conditions under which the PCO is approved.
I'll second that.
We have a
Got all
motion.
that?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
So in 17R2, let me just recap where we're at with this. So just to go back in history, we asked to make some kind of minor modifications to the adding a card reader at the IT room, and then we asked to change the security system that was in the base contract to a Genetec system, which is a system that the town has in other buildings and is preferred, as recommended by the IT director. We got after some back and forth, we got a PCO from Page. The value was higher than we'd like to see, and we didn't have backup for the credits, so we've been working on giving them comments and kind of getting all the credits that we think are owed back to us. And the current, this gets us to like within the last month, the price we got, it was like a net add to the project of around $55,000. I can pull it up. That included like about $19,000 in credits. Oh, let me just pull it up so you know. This is the breakdown here from this is American Electrical Contractors cover sheet here, or their kind of the breakdown of the PCO. These are the credits here. One of these is the access control, the other one's the cameras, and the other one is visitor management system. This is the ad for they carried ESCS, right?
Yeah.
ESCS to do the Genetec system. Their price was $67,391.84. So
How does the credit compare to the original estimate?
right here, 67 versus 19.6,
It seems low for all.
$47,000.
The credit is for all of the stuff that's in the bid documents, right?
It's all the parts and smarts, and they're still, American is still installing equipment provided by ESCS. It
So-
felt a little bit high based on some other projects we've done.
The credit or the ad?
The ad. So I looked at something from BCM on another project. BCM's another contractor on state bid list that does Genetec. The price on that particular project for a very similar scope was in like the 40,000 plus range, except it didn't have like the Bosch Berg system, and it didn't have the Verkada cameras. It was just straight Genetec, and it was also a credit back. So potentially it was like, could have been a little bit low, but I worked hard on that one and did get a pretty good breakdown on it for that particular project. So I felt like, I just felt like this was a little bit high, or that the credit was low. So
Scott, would it be safe to assume that based on those numbers, the labor cost for the subcontractor is $47,700?
it's labor, it's basically it's programming, and it's supplying all the equipment for it, and the labor to do like the actual wiring into the Genetec panels. So like American Electrical will take their panel, Genetec panel, stick it on the wall. They'll go and install the card reader that they're provided in the door, and then ESCS will come in and they'll do the final wiring into the Genetec panel. They're licensed with Genetec.
But ESCS isn't included in this cost.
This is ESCS right here, $67,391.
So the net is the 47.7.
Then that's the
Right.
47.
Yeah,
But that 47
that
is
47.
only material.
It's the.
I know it's the delta. Okay, well, I'll go back to
Yeah.
the 67 is only material. The labor's the same, whether you're going to connect to this box or that box,
Right,
or
that's what I'm saying.
I think that's what. Yeah. So it's a $67,000.
I would say that
For
the
just
labor
material.
is more for the Genetec, just based on different integrating.
I
Yeah,
I know nothing about any of them, so I
The
see a
wires
panel
are
and
the same, the only difference is programming.
Yeah, this doesn't include, none of these include wiring. The wiring's outside of this, just owned in the base contract.
no, but
But you're right, the wiring's the same.
the 67, if it was just apples to apples, all we did was instead of this piece of equipment,
Right.
this piece of equipment. So all
Yes.
the labor to install it, wire it, all that is the same.
Yep.
You're saying maybe there's more with the Genetech system. I don't know nothing about either one of them. So
Well, it's a shame we didn't have all this information when we built the specs. We should have.
Early in the project.
We should have.
Yeah, we definitely should.
And I'll say technology dropped the ball.
Yeah.
We asked for several weeks for them to review the proposals, and they were never reviewed.
Well, here's the problem is also being compounded by the fact that it's still being changed. I mean, we're talking about cameras, right?
Right, so recently when this came in, I didn't feel comfortable about this number, so we went out to a contractor that the town's working with, ENE. They're doing other work in town, they're on state contracts, so we can buy directly from them and hire them. We could essentially take the credit that's due here and take out the ad and use our vendor, the owner vendor, which would require coordination between them and American Electrical, and they could do that part of it. Their pricing originally came in at like this, around the same number as this.
as a
Okay.
67.
Yeah. Then
Okay.
when we were comparing, we asked Page for their subs, these guys to provide more backup because there just wasn't enough backup in this price down here. I'll show it to you. This is their proposal we got. This page here is the added backup that we had requested. This was the original proposal here, one page. Okay, so it doesn't have any model numbers and stuff like that. It specifies, this is the Verkada cameras that the town wanted, the Bosch intrusion detection system, which is one of the only detection systems that integrates with Genetech. So we had asked them for more backup. This is what they gave us, no pricing with it and stuff like that. So then we went and got around the same time we went out and asked for pricing from ENE. This is the backup. This is the price they gave us, and you can see all the backup. They have it broken down for the Genetech access control system is this amount. The Verkada cameras is this amount. And the Bosch intrusion is this amount here. And the total,
61.
so originally, like I said, this was higher. We asked them to make some minor adjustments based on the original version of this. Josh found that the Verkada camera, see how it's a CD62? We told him to specify a CD62 based on what Josh is familiar with now. It's a better camera than the one they originally included. They included like a CD22. And they also had a license in there in the Genetech that they pulled out. And we just said, give us your best and final and make that change. And also there was a APC is the UPS that Josh wanted, and then a Extreme Networks is the network switch in lieu of a Aruba switch. So this price came down by like $4 or $5 grand. So you could go with this and get the credit from American for the base system, and or what we were hoping for is that when we gave that supplemental info to Page and American of those different model number cameras and stuff, that we would have their pricing full in the PCO for today, and we could make that comparison. But unfortunately, they kind of pumped the brakes and they said, can you send it, we want you to send us the RFP that you sent to ENE, because we thought we had priced it based on the info we were given by the IT director, which is true, they were. There was some, I don't think
We
he
did a
specified
sloppy
model
job.
numbers for
We
the
did.
cameras, you know?
We didn't do a good job with our specs. And you know what? One way or the other way on this, by dragging our feet, we're just gonna give Tony another
Right.
point to argue on a delay.
I am 100% behind putting this to bed. I mean,
Let's-
is Josh on board with this scenario right here now as it is?
Yes.
Could this be a PCO as it
This
is?
is what Josh would like in the building.
Right.
And this could be, whether E&E does it or American Sub, ESCS does it, it doesn't really matter to us. There's a benefit of having them do it because they
Well, I want them responsible, absolutely.
They own it.
Thing.
They own it.
This
Yeah.
opens us up to potential,
Yeah, no,
you know,
Delay.
finger pointing and
I
stuff.
wanna
like
go
that.
down that road.
And
there's no
for
extension
five,
in
6
time.
grand,
I did that 40 years ago with the network.
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I was in between AT&T, Western Union, and the Bell system. Couldn't win. Couldn't win.
I think again that the PCO should be very specific. We want model number this.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Where was it ECS, ESCS, whatever it is, didn't have a lot of detailed information. You know, almost take what you have
I mean,
here,
I could take
You know what I
this
mean,
and
with
send it to 'em and say, this is
model
what-
numbers, and,
Yeah.
or just attach it as part of the PCO.
Right.
Just can you explain a little bit about the camera upgrades that Josh wanted the last time?
Yeah, what he said was, I said, can you know, what's the difference between the cameras? I assume it has to do with the
Resolution?
resolution and the storage capacity of the cameras. And he wrote me an email back and said, yeah, that's essentially what it is.
This isn't the courthouse.
But he said, you know, CD22 or whatever it was to begin with was probably a camera that was out several years ago.
Remember, Bruce, they'll all be
The
close-ups
technology
now.
is-
Yeah.
Nobody wants it.
And one more thing to the chair, the 60-day, well, there was a 60-day
Yeah.
provision in this original draft, right?
And I talked to Tony about that this morning because I was following up on this to find out what was going on, and he had, after that he sent me an email from them out looking for that RFP that we sent them, but he said he was going to check on that because he didn't know he didn't think that was like
I think
that was realistic.
to Rick's point, it's, hey, whatever the value was, the net was 47 something. This price includes all this stuff.
And let's
No,
get it
no
done.
additional delay. Agree by Friday. If not, we're going to go to E&E.
Yeah, I said we're there.
That's what,
Right. It just and just give them a,
It may motivate the other outstanding PCO to get acted on too, right?
I wouldn't count on it.
I mean, the other thing we could do is ask them to carry these guys, but I don't know. They might not. They only got, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they got to sign up another
Yeah.
sub of a.
Yep.
They got a contract, or American has a contract. That mine American's probably a filed sub bid, right? Do you look? Yeah, that's
I believe they
American's
are.
the electrical, right?
Right.
Yeah, so he's a filed sub bid, which adds another layer of
Yeah, we don't need more.
democracy. So I think it's just here. Here it is. Is what we want. Here's no additional time, and
Didn't Tony send a revised PCO for this?
This is
Recently?
this is the one here.
Yes.
It's
This is the one.
sorry, where is it? This is the one they sent. Right, this is
What
from
was going on downstairs?
PCO 17.
Does that have everything that we're looking for now?
This
The way it's
is
written?
this was the net ad.
That's with Americans
this is
markup.
Pages markup. Yeah, this is with Americans markup. This is with Pages markup and insurance and bonds 62,852.
And I think it specifically said there was no zero added time in this piece.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I want to move on it.
I'd say,
I
yeah, I'd say,
want to see more time.
let's go.
So would you vote on this amount not to exceed or something
Yes.
close?
Yes.
Sounds like the
Yes.
value, yeah, or, yeah, not to exceed, the value set.
Motion, change order not to exceed 62,852,88.
Second.
Motion and second on change order 17R2. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
Okay.
Jeez, we just gave him $110,000.
Almost done. Furniture, fixtures, equipment, we had to order into WB Mason. We're looking for early June delivery on that. I think there's some flexibility there, so depending on the discussions we have with Tony about the talks we had earlier about Bruce getting out early and stuff like that, we can see if they can make up any time in their next schedule update. And then just on the tire, the equipment we have so far, Bruce ended up getting some good pricing in on some like a wheel balancer and tire changing equipment, the tool chest. Saved a little bit of money over the previous amount we were carrying, so we're looking to move forward with a PO to Lappin's
Great.
and Fastenal for some hardware. We're still working on probably the welder and plasma cutter. We do have pricing on those, but I think we could probably release those as well.
Okay.
And this is just a quick look at the commissioning.
Who's doing the commissioning?
It's this company here, Total Building System
Total Building
Consulting.
System.
This is a look at their discrepancy log, they call it. And it just identifies potential issues or non-conformities and puts it back on pages for it and their subs to respond to it, either close it out or say why they don't own it. And then it goes to the engineer for them to respond. And hopefully no change orders.
I can't even imagine getting any change orders on furniture.
No, that's not furniture.
I know.
Yeah. Pictures. Exhaust system here.
Yep.
Sidewalks.
National Grid.
That's all done.
When is the HVAC in?
Excuse me.
It's mostly in.
And we're gonna be commissioning that once they're done, right?
Yeah, so they started doing.
That's one of our biggest nightmares in every building we've done. Really wanna watch them on that.
Yep. No, that's what we've worked with Paul Seekers on other projects, and he's been great. So I think we'll have good luck with him. Just tile work ongoing. These rooms are all done now in terms of like the wall tile. They're all grouted. You'll probably see it later on. These are early in the month.
Yes.
1,000 pictures.
You gonna keep that river running, Bruce?
The river? What river?
Little water view from your office?
Well, if you want me to slow down anywhere, this is all just progress work. I don't know why some of these pictures are
what's it
blurry.
called? Is that?
So like for example, these panels here, this one's all wired, this one's, the
Yep.
panel interior is in, but it's just not wired yet. Drywall, this is all paint.
Oh, you mean where to wire those? You mean you wanted them connected?
Sidewalks.
Huh, I want to go ahead.
Write your
So
initials.
where's the travertine going?
So?
There's Terrazzo.
This the compressor. Air compressor, yeah.
You got a picture of the famous window they screwed up?
Hey, probably, yeah.
We got a picture of the wood.
Did they, I would say fix, but did they install the, I guess I'll call it the jams between the wall and the windows?
No, it comes back at the end of the month to do that. We're gonna come out here and do everything in one fell swoop.
That's the glass. It's covered.
Oh, that's gonna be a
Yeah,
great
is that
job
part
for
of
you
Kevin?
to watch.
Put the jams in and then bring it up to the level of that glass. Sorry, what was that, Ray?
So that's gonna be a great job for you to watch.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh, yeah, nice picture, huh?
I have better pictures. I just was trying to get.
Oh, you know, we could put a bench in there. Somebody could sit down while they're walking.
Have they fixed it?
No,
No, that's gonna be
That's
we
it.
used
The
to park a
mason.
lull in front of it to hide it.
couple weeks. It'll probably be wrapped up.
Brickwork. Weather.
Make a mail slot.
I think that's it.
Yeah,
At the bank, the little.
Yeah,
that's it.
that's nice.
It's looking really nice.
Yeah.
It is looking good.
I mean, I don't think we got a picture of the inside.
Sure hope their
Stuff
roof
like
edge
that.
is not done.
I have all those. Just
Yeah.
a lot of the in terms of keeping it in March.
Mhm.
A lot of those pictures are from the beginning of the month, early in the month, throughout. But if you walk in there now on April 10th, April 14th, you'll see a little progress along these pictures are.
So, Tom, you said Greg was out there yesterday?
No,
Yeah, okay.
Last week?
correct.
The main entrance.
Did you happen to
Talking
mention anything
about
about the brick at the
benches.
outside of the
One for
overhead
Pet Nelly,
doors? That's
one
at
for
the base, that has a big
The
space.
gap in it?
Yeah.
the old man.
I showed
Do you think it
I
should
showed-
be a deficiency item on the,
It's per his detail. If it's
yeah,
is it bricks
like
like,
kitchen joint.
no, no.
Oh,
I'm talking
sorry. I
about-
thought you were talking about.
No, at the apron, right? The apron where the, you go into the building. The last brick on the end of every door is cantilevered out with no grout or no mortar underneath.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That's the issue. That's the thing I pointed out to that I'm like, yeah.
So do you think that should be, is, does
Place
Wade
for
have
the
a plan
mice
to
to
do
hide,
it?
Rick.
Huh?
Place for the
No,
mice to
that
hide.
was my concern because to get in potentially and get in the wall cavity, they do need to seal it up with grout. I would
Yeah,
think,
I
is
would
the
think
way
they
to do
need
it.
to grout.
Yeah.
Well, over time, that brick will just, the bond will break.
The intent was to have it closed off. It's just the way they did they
apron.
boxed out the apron to come down.
Right.
It created that void space. So it's probably would be come through as like an ASI or they should RFI.
That's exactly what it was.
I think it'll come through as an ASI
Yeah.
or I don't know if it has to be in the deficiency log. It can be. We can put it in there.
Just slide
I
plywood.
would say this needs to be closed off, but there's no detail of it. You know what I mean? Like,
So when you and I walked on Wednesday, we took those pictures of it. When Greg came out on Friday, I showed him the pictures that I took during our walk, and then he essentially put it into an ASI and told me that it would be an architect's output for instruction.
Oh,
we'll
okay.
follow up with Mike this week. That's
All right.
probably Mike's court.
Mike was out here.
Worst case, it'll get put on a punch list, and we'll just monetize it. Just pull that money.
The other thing I was concerned about is the 2-week look ahead.
Right.
Uh,
For the
Peter
agenda.
forgot last week. I think we're getting in the habit of forgetting. A 2-week look ahead.
Invoices,
This will get done.
construction,
Yeah,
new businesses.
it'd be nice to have a 3 or 4 week.
Yeah.
I think
You
Rich
ready?
has got something.
All I got.
Well, see, if you don't look at the bottom of the window, it looks great.
Any new business?
Oh, God, I hope not.
Bruce?
Oh,
I just have a couple invoices I'd like the committee to consider paying. One is for a tree we removed or had removed so that they can run the electrical service into the existing admin building from the opposite side of where it is now. So there was a tree that was growing up next to a utility pole that had to be removed to make that happen. So
what's it cost?
$750 bargain basement. Page approached me. They said they could do it, or I could go get pricing and have it done.
Who did it?
Plaza. I got three prices.
Pretty
from
decent price.
That's about as cheap as you'll get a tree company. That can
Make a
run.
motion
It wasn't
to
a very
approve
big tree, but we couldn't do it because it was in the wires.
All right.
Motion to approve it.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? I'm sorry. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Just get it to Mary Beth, so she
Okay.
Unanimous, approved. Russ,
What else?
I have a invoice for a 20-foot storage container, shipping container.
Ah, yes, I've been waiting for that.
You told me to. And
I know.
so I got several different prices. There's a company locally that has what they call a one tripper, so it's essentially a new container. 20-foot door on one end. We'll utilize this container to move everything out
Yep,
rather than, move out and
take
then
your
try to.
time putting it where you need it.
Right. I don't want to.
So no
have to
rust
move
on
it out.
this thing?
What's that?
No rust on this thing?
No rust. This will be a pretty one. And the other ones that we have in the yard that are older, that we've had for many years, we'll paint those.
How much?
3,800.
Motion.
I'll second it. Question, Bruce, is that large, is it enough
Yeah, it's
20
enough.
footer?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's enough. And being 20 foot, we can move it around with our forks. Without a 40 footer would be difficult.
Yeah, okay.
So we have a motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
Excellent. Motion to adjourn.
So moved?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.